Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So, welcome to Interactive Sukhmani Sahib Ji session. We are currently on 24th Ashpadi of Sukhmani Sahib Ji. And I think we completed around 6 padas. We have 7th and 8th padas to complete. Let's see if we can finish in this session or next session. Before we start doing the discussion, I would like to recite some of the sloks from all the Ashpadis which we have done so far. You can recite along on your mute. Satnam Shri Vaheguru Sahib Ji Adi Gure Namahe Jugad Gure Namahe Sat Gure Namahe Shri Guru Deve Namahe Deen Har Prabh Chhod Ke Lage Aan Suaye Nanak Kahu Na Seejhe Bin Nave Pat Jaye Ustat Karhe Anek Jan Ant Na Paravar Nanak Rachna Prabh Rachi Bahubid Anik Prakar Ad Sach Jugad Sach Hai Bhi Sach Nanak Hosi Bhi Sach Sargun Nirgun Nirankar Sun Samadhi Aap Aapne kiya Nanaka Aape hi fir jaap जी जंत के ठाकरा आपे वर्तन हार नानक एको पसरिया दूजा कहे दृष्टार ज्ञान अंजन गुर दिया अज्ञान अंधेर बिनाश हर कृपा ते संत पेटिया नानक मन परगास पूरा प्रभु आराध्या पूरा जाका नाम नानक पूरा पाया पूरे के गुण गाओ. So last slok from the 24th Ashtapadi is talking about the Mahima of the, so it's praising about the Pura Prabhu. It's just putting that emphasis on this number of things. The Pura Prabhu, that one divine God, the truth, the absolute truth, the perfect God, Aradhya. Pura Jaka now. So Aradhya is actually doing the bhakti, doing the worship. Pura Jaka now. Nanak Pura Paya Pure Ke Gun Gao. There's so many things. Aradhya, now, Gao, and Pura. All of those are so important. Throughout Gurbani, there's emphasis about Nam, right? That the Nam of that perfect Guru, I have worshipped that perfect Guru who has the perfect Nam. And then that also shows a connection between how do we connect to that Vaheguru through his perfect Nam, and doing worship by devoting to him. Right, so that's, and then we have done 6 padas, and if we just go back to them, it's talking about Pure ke gun gao, Nanak pura paya. It says those beings by doing the glorious praises of, by singing, it's a gao here, by singing the glorious praises of Vaheguru, they have obtained that perfect Vaheguru. Right? And then later on the padas which we are talking about, and then there's again emphasis on what all, as a human, how are you emancipated in this human life? What do you get by devoting to that Vaheguru, by connecting with that Vaheguru? And then it tells about those who have already connected. Right? So in the last two padas, that's the emphasis on jinna ne pa liya hai, right? What are their qualities? What do they attain? And we were talking about, we just on the sixth pada we did last time. It says Khem Shant Rid Navnid Buddh Gyan Sarab Tahsid Vidya Tap Jog Praptyan Gyan Shreshit Uttam Ishnan Char Padarat Kamal Pragas. Sabke Madsagat. It says such a being obtains all of this because that's what all it is. That's what the whole perfect Guru, the perfect true one, the true Guru, through your devotion to the true Guru's teachings, by understanding that, all this is obtained. And then it talks about beyond what you obtain, right? It's sabke mad sagal the udas, sundar chatur tat ka beta, samdarshi ek drishteta, e fal tis jan ke mukh pane Guru Nanak naam bachan man sune. Says such rewards come to those who in their sayings say that naam, and in their listening also, bachan man sune, they listen to that naam. Right? So we'll go to the seventh pada, we'll do some vichar on that, and we'll see if we want to go to the last pada or we want to just go over the rest of the shloks first. Ehu nidhan japay man koe, sab jug mein taaki gat hoye, gun gobind naam tun bani, simrit शास्त्र वेद बखानी, सगल मतांत केवल हर नाम, गोबिंद भगत कै मन बिसराम, कोट अपराध साध संग मिटै, संत कृपा ते जमते छुटै, जाके मस्तक करम प्रभ पाए, साध शरण नानक ते आए. जिस एहो निधान जपै मन कोय, सब जुग में ताकी गत होए. So it's talking about that Bani, that Naam, the treasure of that Bani, that Naam, Japay Man Koe, those minds which recite, which chant this treasure of Naam, which is in Bani. Sab jug mein tagi kat hoye. He says such a being is saved, gets emancipation in every age, in any yug. You know, yug is a great emphasis here. There are supposed to be 4 yugs, and then Gurbani says that every yug has its own. It says the previous yugs, you know, Sat, Tap, all of that was essential in the previous yugs, and they were the ways to get emancipation. In the Kal Yug, the only way to get emancipation or salvation, to get saved from that bondage of Maya and understand it, that worldly falsehood, to be able to understand that and to be able to see beyond that, it's through Naam. So that's in the whole Guru Granth Sahib, it says Kal Yug mein Naam Pradhan. In so many places, it tells on the other yugs what it was, which could have, and it says that it was more easier also in those yugs, like Sat Yug. It was so easy just to be Sat. It is now everything is Kur. You are in Kur. You know, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਲਯੁਗ ਦਾ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀ ਪੈਰ ਹੈ, ਜੇ ਸਤਯੁਗ ਦੇ ਚਾਰ ਸੀਗੇ ਤਾਂ, right? So says you are surrounded, your existence of your life is in such a surrounding, in such a yug, that Naam is the only one which is your connection left, the medium left to that Sachai, to get the salvation. That's what it means. That's a Nidhan. You know, that's the Nidhan which you get from those who are already emancipated from Satguru. Gun Gobind Naam Tun Bani Simrit Sastra Bed Bakhani. It says Gun Gobind Naam Tun Bani. It says that Naam itself, you know, that Bani, the chanting of Bani has all the virtues of that Gobind. Gobind is again for the God. It's Gobind, Rakhya Karan Wala, God for the earth, the savior. Gobind, Gun Gobind, that one God. It has the praises, that Naam, in that Tuni of that Naam, in the tune of that Naam, that Bani, the chanting of that Gurbani has it. It has chanting of the, so we keep asking, right, what is Naam? It's so clearly listed here. Even that Bani, the Tuni of that Bani, the saying of that Bani, is the Naam itself, is the Gobind Gun itself. Simrit Sastra Ved Bakhani. He says all of these scriptures which are there, Simritis and Shastras, they also say the same thing. Bakhani, they are talking about the same thing.
लीना भैन जी,
of it. हाँ जी.
सिमरत मैं हुणे गूगल किया है, मैंने कुछ लभ नहीं रहा. वो भी कोई जिदा साडे वेदा से कुछ सेगा इदा है. What is Simrit?
Yeah. Simritiyan, Shastra, Puran, ये सारे they are different. They have different set of knowledge about spirituality written. There's a lot of them, Shastras and Simriti.
Simriti, I could not get on the Google. So.
Yeah, I can.
Shastra, वो तो ऐसी भी कहते हैं ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਥਿਆਰ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ. ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਓ, ਕਿਤੇ ਜਾਓ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸ਼ਾਸਤਰ ਸੀਗੇ ਹੈ.
Here Shastras are different. Shastras are they're the holy books. That's what he is referring to. And Shastra is the armament.
अच्छा जी.
So difference है ना, Shastra and Shastra. वो तो शस्त्र हुंदे हैं ना. That's a whole different thing.
अच्छा.
Here Simritis, Shastra, Ved. These three are the different kinds of scriptures that have been supposed to be written thousands of years back in Hinduism, and that have different forms of not just spirituality, but living myths, stories, previous civilizations, interpretations, all of that. That there's supposed to be a lot of gyan in those. And Bakhani means they have described it. So it says all of those books which people have been referring to, he says all of them also say the same thing. Why don't you get a sense of it? Why don't you understand it? That's the main emphasis here. See, Simritis, Shastras and Vedas, those books which have been written, he says they are saying, they are bakhaning, you know, or bakhan kar rahe hain, of the same message. He says Gun Gobind Naam Tun Bani, that Naam itself, what is it? Right? That Bani, that Bani of Vahiguru, it's basically trying to say, they all also say the emphasis is on the Naam, that Naam is the is the highest of the means of getting salvation. That's what it's saying, that all of those spirituality books are saying the same thing. ठीक है?
हाँ जी.
So, Sagal Matant Keval Har Naam. So again, it's repeating Sagal Matant is an essence. Sagal is all. This is a sense of everything, all what is written, religions, everything. They all say the same thing. Keval Har Naam. This is that Vahiguru da Naam. The essence of every religion is finally comes to the Naam of Vahiguru, Naam of her, Naam of that one God. Gobind Bhagat ke man bisram. And Gobind Bhagat, the devotees of that one divine Gobind, ke man bisram. Because of that Naam, their man, in their mind, there's always peace. And that Naam resides in their mind. Sagal Matant Keval Har Naam, Gobind Bhagat ke man bisram. There is that one Naam which everybody, a sense of every religion wants you to connect to that one Naam, whatever they call it, through Gobind Bhagat, where it's residing. Kot Aparad Sad Sang Mita. So there's now, it says, it has already told the emphasis about the Naam, about the Bani. Then it says, Gobind Bhagat ke man bisram. Right? For you to attain that. Now it says, Kot Aparad Sad Sang Mita. That's where the emphasis of Sad Sangat is. The importance of it says, when you are in the company of Sad Sangat, of the holy, who have that ingredient of Naam inside them, and you assess it knowingly or unknowingly, you have access to that Naam. Kot Aparad Sad Sang Mita. Then all your so-called aparad, the wrong deeds you have done in terms of spirituality to, for your way, for your right path towards salvation, whatever are those deeds you have done which are not in alignment to that, right, which take you away from your goal as a purpose of life to merge with that oneness, says that's what's called aparad in Gurbani, right? Kot aparad sad sang mita. He says all those, in a way you can say all those karmas are erased when you get into that company of the holy and you get that access to the Naam. Is Sant Kripate Jamte Chute. And with the grace of those beings, Sant, जिन्होंने सत्य ਨੂੰ ਪਛਾਣ ਲਿਆ, right? Sant Kripate Jamte Chute. You escape Jam. Jam is called messenger of death. Chut jande ho. Chutna is you escape from them. So the same message again and again. It's just how do we interpret what is Jamte Chutna? You know, Jamte Chutna is, Jam is what, as you are into this cycle of births and deaths, you keep coming back because you are in the clutches of a Jam, or Jamna is the Jam, na Jam de vas pe aage Jamna ho gaya. Jam pe, you know, because you are in the cycle of reincarnation. Okay, ne hun fere Jam ne pure lekhe likhne hain, you know, and then you will again go and come back with a different. This is to go beyond that Jamna and Jam, where you can merge with that one truth. He says that happens in the grace of those who have already been there. Sant Kripate Jamte Chute. And then it ends with Jaake Mastak Karam Prabh Paye. It says Mastak, those foreheads, Karam Prabh Paye, Jaake Mastak Karam, those who have the destiny written to do such kind of devotion, the Naam Japna, who have written that, they get it. They have that preordained from that Prabhu himself, right? Jaake mastak karam prabh pai. They get that kind of written on their destiny that they will get to do such kind of devotion, such kind of Sat Sangat. They will accompany such kind of Sat Sangat. Sad Saran Nanak te aaye. And they come to the sanctuary of Sat Sangat. Such beings who have that written on their forehead. Mastak, jina de mastak te likhya, they come to Sat Saran in the Sat Sangat. And then they get more and more into the real truth that exists. Right. So that's mainly what this pada is. Maybe I can go over the last one too, and then we can contemplate more. If you want, if you have any questions on this pada, we can talk about that.
I think Lena ji, like say ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਭਾਗਾਂ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਅਗਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਭਾਗ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਤੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਆ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਆ ਕੇ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕ ਲਓ, ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਤੇ ਮਾਲਿਕ ਕੈਨ ਆਲਸੋ ਰਾਈਟ whatever needs to be written so that you don't feel that it's exclusive club ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮਾਲਿਕ ਨੇ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ। So that's the other thought that came in. Baki ki, if you want, maybe you want to do the 1 to 24th then you can leave the last one for whenever the last piece, whenever you want to finish agle hafte or week after, whenever it gets done. So you can leave that at the last part. It's up to you. Whatever Sangat wants, it's okay with us.
Yeah.
मेरा ख्याल है अखीरला करो, फिर विचार करते हैं।
You're saying अखीला पदा next week कर दिया?
हम करो।
अच्छा जी।
तो फिर विचार कर दें।
हाँ जी, नहीं, I think Paul ji is saying that
I disagree with him.
Yeah, okay. We go back to the
I have opposite view.
अच्छा जी। And yes.
इसे होर दा ख्याल दसो, बोलो हरदेव।
Actually, sorry, I was distracted.
हाँ जी, भैन जी कह रहे हैं कि एक और पदा हैगा या एक और अशपति ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿਖਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਰੋ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਵਿਚਾਰ ਅਗਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਜੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਨਾ।
I think we can do the discussion now, and then we have a topic to do, continue from the next week also. So last pada we can do it next week, and let's do the discussion now.
Hanji,
so,
Hanji.
This will give us a little start for the next week.
That's great.
Because
excellent.
I think before we get to the last pada, I do want to revise all the shloks. So we'll get to the shloks. Let me answer. Theek hai, we'll do the last pada next week and we'll do more vichar. I want to just come back to the previous ones too on all the message, because a lot of questions get answered to see in the sequence of how in Sukhmani Sahib ji, Sadhguru ji is trying to take us to different levels of understanding. And just the question, Jaake mastak karam prabpai Sad Saran, ijra mastak likhya, this is always for anybody who has a desire to even go to that path or learn to that path. This is an acknowledgement. Whenever in Gurbani, or it's not even in everywhere in the scriptures, it says it happens by grace. It is an emphasis to tell that keep going on that path. You have it written on your forehead that such questions are coming to you. That's the difference here. That, and it's not the other way around, that if you're anyway reading the Bani, if you have that urge to have that kind of questions, it's just telling you that, see, this is now you have to do the effort. Your soul is asking, your inside yourself has started to ask the questions. You have a touch to that already. Now do the effort and find out. Go to that path, because it also says ik kadam chaloge ta Satguru will come, quote, hundreds of steps will come forward to get you.
No, beautiful, because I think I was reading one of the Babaji's, Sukhmani Sahib ji, the talks you covered earlier. One of the biggest blessings Malik gave, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਬਖਸ਼ਦਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਕੋਈ ਯੂਨਿਟ ਆਉਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, So it's a huge, huge blessing to be able to even attend or be part of this session or any session ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮਾਲਿਕ ਦੀ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਮਿਲੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਮਿਲਣੀ ਹੀ ਬੜੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਭਾਗ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ. It's phenomenal. ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਕਰਨੇ ਜਨਮਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਟੁੱਟੇ ਹੋਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ, ਮਾਲਿਕ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਕਰੋ, ਸੋ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਬਖਸ਼ੋ ਆਪਣੀ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ ਹੋ ਸਕੇ. We beg request.
And why is that? Is because the lot of doubts. See, there's a reality of us existing, and there's a reality of the birth and the death. And when the death comes, or even without death, even there's some fortunate ones who can have a realization, but it's very important those doubts are removed. Okay, then maran samay ikvi vichar yaad aa jaye Satguru da, that actually helps, because the doubts go away. And at that moment, when you are beyond that ego and when you have accepted it's coming, that helps. That helps for your mind itself. Right? That helps for your consciousness. That helps for anything else people say about what has to dissolve after that or not. If not, then it can have then where does this consciousness goes? Where does what are the different levels? There's so many theories about it, and there's theories about it just but whatever theories about what happens to your consciousness, your mind after that, but there is always one thing, right, that if you have accepted before, if you're jide jude hue hain, right, they eventually merge with that. But all what you have to realize, all your consciousness has to realize yourself, that can happen through this, during the aware consciousness. Je o andar baith gaya ta will come in that, otherwise that will become somewhere, it's even 1,000 times it will become more confused. So going to the next level of realization happens. That's why human birth, dehe milna, is you realize through this human body, you realize that limitless through this body you get, right?
The
limits of your body, you can realize that there is that limitlessness out there which you have to go to, and which is part of you. So that's what it says. Sat saran jivet se kende na kod janam de mit jande hain, or what all you were saying. So
पर ये ना कि ले अगर किसी ने सारी उम्र नाम नहीं जपया या ध्यान नहीं किया, तो लास्ट वक्त मौत के समय भी किथे ध्यान आएगा. इट्स हार्ड, कभी क्लास नहीं बैठे, कुछ ध्यान नहीं किया, पर उसकी रहमत होगी, आ सकता है. पर एक बार कहते नाम आ गया, ध्यान आ गया रब दा, then the journey thereafter should be all comfortable, God willing.
So there, no, it can, at that moment it can be faith, parosa, or it can be total fear, right? So it's trying to avoid you to not have the fear. It's trying to tell you parosa, but beyond parosa, if you even have if you can realize the truth with awareness, that's the most beautiful thing. That's the beauty of death. That is supposed to be a beautiful thing. It's just that we take it as the other way, right? And that's the awareness. So, Hanji.
It could be a very beautiful journey, and most people, or some of the ones who have gone and come back, they say the amount of love and affection they get is priceless on the other side. They don't want to come back. You're right, completely right. But agar preparation ਹੋਈ ਹੋਏ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਲੀ ਮਾਲਿਕ ਦੇ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਿਆ ਹੋਏ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਰਹੇ ਤੇ ਹੌਲੀ 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 ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਨਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੂੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਫਾਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ then yes you are 100% right what a beautiful moment with that ਜਦ ਕਿ ਮਾਲਿਕ ਆਪਣੀ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਬਖਸ਼ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਆਪੇ ਹੀ you are 100% right ਪਰ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ we are not that clean and perfect so ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਬੈਠਾ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਡਰ ਹੈ doubt ਹੈ ਹਵਾ ਹੈ so you know that can become then a barrier a challenge ਉਸੀ ਨੂੰ ਕੱਢਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹੀ ਤਾਂ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਕਰਨ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਾਨ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਸਾਫ਼ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ then it becomes beautiful sunny all the time then or though it doesn't matter it's all good at that time
Hanji. And it says like we in the pada we said sagal matant keval har naam, right? ਤੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ
ਜੀ
ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਭਗਤ ਕੇ ਮਨ ਬਿਸਰਾਮ ਹੁਣ if you just look at it, all religions, they are made for a beautiful cause. They are made for the same cause, for these humans to find that final reality. Ona de ritual vi dekho sab de, especially at that moment of death. If you see try to understand the meaning of it, that what Sadhguru is saying, right? Because that's truth, that you need Bhagat, you need somebody to connect to Nam, and that Nam itself is that whole every religion. It says that's what the essence is. Hun jado o saman that right? Everybody we call them rituals, but सारे ने अपने अपने बनाए हुए हैं ना. वो priest बुला लेंदे हैं या कुछ. They try to make sure there is somebody holy, so-called holy next to you. How beautifully they have been made, but वो सब lost हो जाते हैं ना business which or whatever rituals which. But if you go to a sense of every religion, they all say the same thing. That's why I try to, right? Even if you look at what is under what words they have used and the rituals they have made, they were made 1,000 years back for a good cause, but then whatever happens to them, then they lose their meaning also, right? So we should go over the padas, all the Ashtapadi shloks. Let's see how far we can go. These are all the 24 Ashtapadi shloks. In the shlok is the main message. Throughout Gurbani, the main message of any Shabad is in the Rahau. I mean, I should start with that, right? Any Shabad has a Rahau line, which is supposed to have the main theme, the main earth, the essence of the Shabad. Rahau in Sukhmani, Sukh Amrit Prabh Naam Pagat Jana Ke Man Bisram is the Rahau line of Sukhmani. It's just trying to tell Amrit Prabh Naam has all the Sukh. And it's there, Man Bisram, Pagat Jana Ke Man Bisram. And those who are devotees, Pagat, Jade Pagat ho gaye hain, they have attained it, they have it, that Naam, right? That's a sense, right? And it gives them peace. That's the life they live. That's the Rahau of Sukhmani. And then these are all the shloks of each Ashtapadi. Shlok has the main message, and then the rest of the padas, 8 padas. So there are 24 Ashpadis and 8 padas. And rest of the 8 padas, they talk in more detail about that main message, which is there. So first one, the very first one says, Ad Gure Namhe, Jugad Gure Namhe, Sat Gure Namhe, Shri Gurdeve Namhe. Any Bani, any main Bani which starts, we call it a Mangla Charan. That's like praising that Vaheguru and bowing to Namah Karna, accepting, in acceptance, bowing to that, Namaskar Karni, praise Karna. Every main Bani starts with that. And this shlok is, many times somebody starts to do Katha and all this, they try to say this. This is kind of connecting with that Ad Gure, Jugad Gure, that one divine which has been there from Ad, Jugad, and then to the Satguru and to my divine Guru, Shri Gurdeva Namah. So that's how it starts, the very first. And mostly all the padas of the first Ashpadi talk about Simarna, how important is it, Simarna? That's what is in the first pada. And then as a continue, so that's, there's nothing, I think this is easy. Literal meanings are easy, right? For the first one, there isn't any question about that, right? Like, what is Ad, Jugad? Ad is before even the beginning of the time. Jugad is every Jug, Juga, Jugato, right? So that's what it is. Then in the second, it says, Deen Darad Dukh Panjana, Kat Kat Nath Anath. Saran Tumhari Ayo Nanak Ke Prabsat. Is still a benti to the request. It says Deen Darad Dukh Panjana. Panjana is break kar dena, tod dena. Panjan wala, dukha nu dur karan wala. Deen Dard. Deen is like, you're very poor, right? Pain, dukh, sorrow. Panjan wala, Deen Darad Dukh nu dur karan wala. Kat kat nath anath. Kat kat. Every heart, it says, Nath Anath, that Natha, that one Nath of all the Anaths. Nath is that master of all. It's about that one divine. It's just addressing him. Deen Daratuk Pajna, Kat Kat Nath Nath. O Deen Daratuk Pajna, Kat Kat Nath Nath. Kat Kat Vichvasan Wale. O Master. Saran Tumhari Ayo Nanak Ke Prabsat. Says, I have come to your sanctuary. Says, O Nanak, I have come to your sanctuary. So first two are just still a benti, right? It's just, the first one is just a Manglacharan, and the second one is again more of a addressing that Vaheguru and telling, I've come to your sanctuary now. And that's very important, right? Coming to Vaheguru's sanctuary, and it also comes with accepting, it comes with an acceptance, right? That all that acceptance, that's, I'm sacrificed to you, Balihari Jana, right? I've come to your saran, I'm Balihari to you, I'm accepting you, is also related to, you have understood there's something beyond, which is not in your power. Balhari, Bal is power, Harna is Harjana, you have lost it completely. Bal har gaya, I'm no more Bal, I have no more power. Balhari tere, I have come to your sanctuary, also means that I'm accepting you now. I have that kind of, I've understood. And that's a realization of a mind and that's a mind itself, which is realizing, right? That there is something beyond. You are realizing through that mind. And that's how do you touch yourself once you have that realization. That's why I said, having that questions coming in you means you are already beyond mind. You have the touch to that self, right? And then those questions also become mind's questions, right? There's something which is underneath you, which is trying to arise and questioning that, but they become mind's questions. For example, when I give an example of intuition, when you haven't, and there's those beings, right? When say Brahm Gyani, there's a difference, and us having an intuition, our intuition which becomes a message of a mind. They are just there. The Brahm Gyanis, they don't have. That's why they are beyond mind. They know already. If our inside knows, it messages us through mind. And very simple example, and our intuition generally sparkles in that kind of company only, where there is a satsangat, we can, or that kind of purity exists, and we have a little bit connection. For example, in a gurdwara, right, you are there, or in general, right, you just think of something. This is an much easier example, when they say you're about, as a meditation, you have to control your thoughts. I mean, that's a saying, but nobody can control thoughts. You can observe your thoughts and you can relate it to why those thoughts are, right? You can become an observer for the thought. So if a thought comes into you about a certain incident which happened with that friend, and then you see that friend over there in front of you, oh, you say, oh, I was thinking of you, that thought came. But don't you understand? That is how your mind interpreted and gave you that message that that friend is here, that it's something inside you is able to feel that. That's all. That's plain and simple. Right? So that's is the first two over here. It says, I have realized that there's something beyond, right? And then the other thing which makes people realize is observation of such things and the birth and death. Always, that's the truth everybody knows, and we tend to forget it, right? So baho sastra baho simrati pekhe sarab titol pujas nahi har harai nanak naam amol. He says, I have seen, so this is that Shastra and Simriti. He says, I have seen many Shastras, many Simritis. Pekhe is dekhna, dekh le hain. Sarab tandolna is toondna. I have searched through them, all of them. Pujas nahi har hare, they do not reach, pujde nahi hai, to the God, to the actual, they are not going close to the God. They're not even closer to him. Pujas nahi har hare. I cannot reach that Hari, that God, that one divine through them. Nanak, Naam Amol. It's only through Naam, which is Amol, which is priceless, through which I can reach. So, there is another thing about Simritis and Shastras. People interpret it very wrong when they say, oh, Simritis and Shastras, they don't even, nobody has read them, right? If you read them, it's not like they're not telling you about what is God. They tell there's one God. They tell there's a Naam through God. It's not like they're not telling. But they have been written as a writings. They do not have that Naam in themselves. There's a difference. They describe about Naam, but they are not the Naam. That's what when Gurbani says ki there's ek do tukka hai ਜਿਸ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਨਾਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ. That's what, and then again there is some tukka which says ਉਹ ਨਾਮ ਤਾਂ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੜਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ. Like says, oh, why is Sadhguru now saying in Gurbani ਉੱਥੇ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼ਿਵਜੀ ਸਾਸੀ ਨਾਮ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੜਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ, ਔਰ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਦੂਜੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਨਾਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ. No, what he's saying is ਕਿ describe ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ, but that actual Naam does not exist. Naam exists is that actual medium, that presence of Sadhguru, of the Naam, of that Vaheguru does not exist on them. It's not for practicing. That's all what it says. Like somebody gives you a mantra for practicing, for meditation, to connect. If I'm talking about this, maybe it helps understand. Everybody asks, what is Naam, right? Maybe what I'm saying, it helps understand what is Naam. It helps understand that conflict, it says, about what is there. And it's not like they're not describing. There's a whole lot of spiritual knowledge in there. But you need something to practice. You need Sadhguru. You need to come into something which you as a human can connect to. So that's first three so far. Right, Hanji. Any questions? So we can go on and let's look at how nice is the sequence, right? First two is just a benti, and third is trying to tell you now about what it is. It says here in the third, it says padi jao. Gurbani vich likhya hai na ki padi jao kuch nahi milna. He says Naam is everything. Pujas nahi, it's not, you cannot get to God without Naam. Naam is a mole. Fourth, Nirgun Ianya. Nirugunyarianya soprab sadastamal jinki atis chitrak nanak nibhinal. He's telling this human as without gun and ignorant. Ianya is ignorant. he told you about already that Hari, you cannot reach to him without Naam, which is, oh ignorant human, without the virtues of attaining Vaheguru. Nirgunyar itself is a spiritually gun nahi hega. Pata hi nahi kis tarah karna hai. And ignorant person, so prab sada istamal, संभाल के रख that Prabhu. जिन किया तिस चीत रख, जिन्ने तेनू बनाया, the one who has created you, चीत रख, ओनू अपनी consciousness विच याद रख. Cheat, remember him in your consciousness, always remember. Nanak nibhi nal, he's the one who is going to be with you forever. How simply it tells, how simply, nibhi nal, kaun nibda nal, at the janam also he is there, and at the end also he's there. So he's the one who is jira nibhayega always, is that one divine, that Vaheguru. And then when Gurbani says, Ohi khaga here and hereafter, and it says, One nibhana, and then sometimes it says ki jade sut meet banita puttar, children, friends, spouses are of no use. But it's talking at a different level. It's saying that it's a truth. Those don't accompany you. It says that one only can be nibhana jinne haga turtak, is that, and it's always there, and when turtak nibhana, those things are not there with you. But then again that conflict comes there. Is that, but at the same time Guru Nanak is saying that you need to stay with them. You are with them. Because in the Bani it also says ki evi bhagan wali mildi hai, this is your soul's connection to the janam. Jehde saak sambandhi hai na, these are eta janma da male hi hega. So he wants to see that God through them also. Right? He's not telling you. So wherever, so it says, it's the emphasis is who is the one who goes, comes with you, and who jine ant vich nibhana hai, who know ant nibhan, that ending of yourself where you merge can happen through many births and cycles, right? That where now you have merged, right? But he's trying to give you this bani, so in this aise janam vich hi ho jaye, right? You understand that, and you can nib jaye that with that one divine. Right? So that's fourth one. He's talking about, he's starting to teach us in the fourth one. He told us about Simriti and Shabda, kuch nahi, padan vich jinna marji pad lo, kuch nahi milna. Then he says, he's trying to tell us what to do. We are ignorant. Then he says, Den har prab chhod ke, lage aan swai, Nanak kahu na sijai, bin nave pat jai. He's telling us, ओ वाला जिड़ा प्रभु है, here it says जिन किया तिस चीत रख, जिन्ने तनु कित्ता बनाया है, remember him. Here he's saying देन हार प्रभ छोड़ के, the one who is given to you, who is always giving to you, you're forgetting, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਦਿੱਤਾ. लागे आन स्वाय, all your consciousness, mind, efforts are on the other things. आन स्वाय, ਹੋਰ ਹੀ ਕੰਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ हैं, right? नानक कहू ना सीजई, you're never going to be successful. CJ, successful. Says, oh Nanak, you're never going to be successful if this is what you're doing. Bin nave pat jai. If you're not connected to the naam, bin nave, bina naam de, pat jai. Your honor is going to go away. And it says in this world as well as in the next world. Anyway, the next world honor is gone. You haven't achieved what you were supposed to. You haven't connected to that naam. And then if you're not connected to the right things, if you're not connecting to where this whole universe truth exists, what the whole universe is trying to do, anyway, things are not going to be successful. Things are not aligning. Right? It says, bin nave pat jai, you lose your honor. Right? So this is such a nice flow of teachings. How, and then it comes to next sixth one, Kam, Krodh, or Lobh, Moho, Binas Jai, Ahamev, Nanak Prab Saranagati, Kar Prasad Gurudev. Now, a human who has realized there's something beyond is asking, is doing a benti. He's realized that these things exist. There's an anger, there's this desires, the forever anger, lobe, there's this greed, moho, there's this useless emotional attachments, binas chai, and there is this pride. What pride in Gurbani says, what are you taking pride in? That one God has given you. Be thankful. What have you have been put in the circumstances through him. Pride ki di karni hai, right? And there those others who are deserving in that way. Why did you get it? Think about it. It says, Kam, Krodh or Lobh, Moh, binas chai is khatam ho jaye, destroy ho jaye. My anger, it's Nanak Prabhu is doing a benti to Prabhu. I'm come to, it says, oh Nanak, Prabhu Sarnagati, main teri saran vich aa gaya, I've come to your sanctuary. Kar Prasad Gurudev, do that grace on me. Oh divine Guru, do that grace on me that all of this should just be removed from me. It's also in a way telling that I should come in hukam, I should come in acceptance. And it also tells a state of a being who has understood that there are these. And being an observer of these is a good step. Sometimes you cannot do anything, but just being an observer is a good spiritual progress. And they say, right, the moment you start observing that you're angry, your anger starts dissolving slowly, right? Hanji.
But I think, Leena ji, like you said in the first earlier, Ashpati, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨਾਮ ਦੀ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਹੈ, ਨਾਮ ਦਾ strength ਹੈ, ਨਾਮ ਦੀ value ਹੈ, quite often we really don't understand ਕਿੰਨੀ ਉੱਚੀ ਔਰ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਹੈ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਗਏ. And quite often it is only ਕਿ ਜਦ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ try ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਔਰ ਕਿਤੇ success ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦੀ, everything is a no, then finally Malik kind of, through somebody ਉੱਥੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਰੱਬ ਪਹੁੰਚਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬਈ ਅਗਰ ਤੂੰ ਇੱਧਰ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ. Recently, I had the pleasure of listening to a few people who had no other option left in life. ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੁਝ ਸਤਸੰਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਮਾਲਕ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਤੇ ਜਦ ਡਾਕਟਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਮਨਾ ਕਰਤਾ ਕਿ ਬਈ there is nothing, different diseases, mental, physical, emotional, ਜਦ ਹੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਾਮ ਜੋ ਜੁੜ ਗਏ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ incredible how everything cured beautifully by itself. ਉਹ ਜੁੜਨ ਦੀ ਹੀ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਮਾਲਿਕ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਨਾਮ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਾਲੇ. We are begging and requesting ਕਿ ਉਹਦਾ ਗਲਿੰਸ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ very big story. ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਦਾ quite often as human being ਅਗਰ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਤੇ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਯਾਰ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਕੁਛ, ਰੱਬ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੂਹੇ ਬੰਦ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, at the end of the day ਅਗਰ ਕੋਈ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਦੀ ਕਿਸਮਤ ਅੱਛੀ ਹੈ, ਮਾਲਿਕ ਕੋਈ ਜੋੜ ਦਿੰਦਾ, ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਹੀ ਅਲੱਗ ਹੈ. But that's why I'm so glad you're kind of doing each one of them beautifully, how the whole story flows. Please continue. I'm sorry to bother you, but continue.
Yeah, see, the other thing is that in Gurbani, what we do is we try to take 2 lines from here, 2 lines from there, in every Bani under certain headings, and every Shabad, it's complete by itself. One of them, understand one of them, I mean, that is complete by itself. When it says, and the thing is, then it's relating to itself. Ovi ho janda na. If you try to relate one from here to the another one from somewhere else in the Bani, then that your mind is playing all the games, then you cannot, then you can have misinterpret things also. So I'm just saying this is just Sukhmani Sahib. As we do other Banis, we'll see how nicely they are all represented. Even one Shabad by itself is just complete message. So this one, we're on the 6th one, right? So now in that whole flow, Kam Krodh, it's just now doing that benti. Then it's trying to say, Agam Agad Pabram Soe, Jojo Kahe Sa Mukta Hoye, Sunmita Nanak Binwanta Sajana Ki Achach Katha. So now he's starting to introduce those who have achieved it, who have realized. Sadh Jana ki Acharj Katha. Now he started to bring in that about that sadh, jinane sadh liya. Sadh is, all of these words have the history towards them, right? And we just have to use words, but some of them are much easier to understand. Sadh Jana ki Acharj Katha, Agam Agad Prar Brahm Sohe. He says is beyond, and he's too deep, and he's unreachable. Par Brahm Soe, that Vaheguru. But Jojo kahe so mukta hoye. But whoever says, takes the name, they get salvation. They are the ones who get emancipated, means they have realized. What is it also trying to say? It says, it's in a way, it's also saying that Par Brahm is Agam Agad, Onu kehen vich hi mukti hai. In a way, you just, when you start saying it, you merge with it. There's nothing beyond left. Once you merge, because you can, it says, you cannot measure, you cannot get the extreme of it. Ant nahi pa sakte. Merge, you finally merge it. Merge hi ho jao. Everybody says Guru Gobind Singh Jap Sahib starts with that. Right? Karam naam barnat sumat. तेरा सरब नाम किन्ने तेनू किसनू पता है अपने अपने कर्मा अनुसार सारे कह के मर्ज हो जाते हैं and everybody is, nobody is wrong, right? You have to see which way you can merge. He says that Par Brahm is Agam Aghad, jinne oda naam le liya get salvation in their own way, right? Sun miya nanak binwanta, and then they realize more and more about Sun Mita Nanak Binvanta. He says, oh friend, listen to me. I'm doing a Binvanta. I'm requesting you. I'm going to tell you about the Sadh Janaki Achraj Katha. Achraj is the word used here. They're about the story, Katha of that Achraj Katha. Since the Achraj is something which your mind cannot understand, right? Achraj ho gaya, miracle hi ho gaya. In a way, that's how the story about Sajan is. Your mind is not going to be easily understanding that, right? Why things happen the way they happen. So, and then it's the mindy ke then, and slowly the whole humanity uplifts to the next level of understanding, slowly, right? And then there is quotes for the previous civilizations of the humanity who had understood to a certain level, and then it just restarted again. Right? So, Sadh Jana ki Achraj Katha. Man sacha, mukh sacha soe, avar na pek hai ekas bin koe, Nanak e lachan brahm gyani hoye. So in all the 7th Ashtapadi, there's all padas which talk about the Sajan. We'll talk about this and then we'll continue from the next week. Say, Man Sacha, now it's talking about Brahm Gyani after that. So it's starting to talk about, so all the padas talk about what do Sajan. Achraj Katha, mostly it's talking about what do you get in the company of such beings. And now it's describing Brahm Gyanis. This is their Sacha, Man Sacha, Mukh Sacha Sway. It's all truth for them. Because Avarna Pekha Ekas Bin Koi, they don't see anybody else other than that one true God. In everything they can see it. There's that element of God existing everywhere and they can see it. And that's what finally comes to the surface. Right, so that's why they become Brahmgyanis. That's how ehe lachan Brahmgyani hoye. They just know how is everything and why is everything, because they are connected to that truth. Their mind is true, and what they say is also true. And that's what the Brahmgyanis are. It's trying to tell the state of the beings who are in connection with the universe and who work in connection with the universe, right? They are living their life in that. And there's a lot of Bhagat's examples and Sakis and all, which talks about it. Right? They have the Brahmgyan, and that's how things happen to them, how people perceive things are happening to them, and they have their own perceptions of what they see, and how people see things happen to them is like they become more miracles for them, right?
ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਗਿਆਨ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੁੱਧਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਐਨਲਾਈਟਨਮੈਂਟ, ਜਦੋਂ ਮਨ ਖੁੱਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਖਿਆਲ ਖੁੱਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੈ, ਸਭ ਕੁਝ
No, enlightenment this is about Brahmgyani is a person who has a knowledge of this whole, how is everything actually, what is the truth beyond, right? Who has that knowledge. So after the enlightenment, you can reach to a stage which is a Brahmgyani stage. You know, so no, how else? Enlightenment is a process itself. Now, if you're asking what is enlightenment, right? So that's a different thing, right? There's different theories about, and we can just leave aside the word, but there is your mind getting merged. So there's, let me use a better word. There's a consciousness merging with that supreme consciousness, and now you become one with it. You think of yourself in a vessel, pani gagar vich hai, gagar fut gayi ta pani becomes the one.
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਐਨਲਾਈਟਨਮੈਂਟ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਜੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਨਾ there's the light in that word.
ਹਾਂਜੀ. Yeah, but light, when that light, those are different things, but the light does not come without the gyan. Gurbani writes very clearly, gyan jo tak mind nu dasya nahi na gyan, oh light nahi aandi. You can, it's all of a sudden lightning nahi strike kar di that you just, it doesn't. Lightning and knowledge lightning of the enlightenment and the knowledge happens together. ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ light ਦਿਖਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਏ, no, that's not enlightenment. Light dikhan lag jaye, plus you know, you are aware. Both together becomes the true enlightenment, true merging. Gyan and light, if you just want to stick to light, is together. And sometimes there might not be light, just gyan, but that's also fine, because light is also, it's just...
I think I've thought you would have a lot of good comment to make on this comment next week. Hopefully we continue next hafte.
Hanji, we have 11 of 4 already, so we can continue.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।